There is just 3 days left of the transfer window, and the Hoops have got a lot to do between now and the window shut-in. We have already secured Luis Palma, and another 4 are set to follow suit immediately. In today's video, we will discuss why the club have been sparked into immediate negotiations with another club over a player, whilst also going over all the latest Celtic news from the last 24 hours. But first, make sure you hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for daily Celtic content. The managerial merry-go-round is in full swing at Easter Road, with Hibernian urgently needing a new boss after cutting ties with Lee Johnson. With the club yet to record a league win this season, and suffering a recent 5-0 thumping at the hands of Aston Villa in the Europa Conference League, the Hibs board is in search for a new leader who can reverse their fortunes. Enter Lennon, a name familiar to anyone who's been following Scottish football in the last few years. The former Celtic manager has publicly declared his interest in returning to Hibernian, a club he managed from 2016 to 2019. During his previous stint at Easter Road, Lennon enjoyed some notable successes, most notably earning promotion from the Championship back to the Premiership. However, his departure in 2019 was marked by controversy, following some tension between him and the club's management. When questioned by PLC Soccer about the possibility of returning to Hibs, Lennon had a concise but telling response. Of course, the simplicity of his answer leaves little room for interpretation. He's clearly interested in the job. After 2 years of being surplus to requirements at Celtic, Swiss international Albion Yeti looks set to finally part ways with the Hoops. Yeti, who spent last season on loan at Austrian side Sturm Graz, is expected to head to Turkey within the next 24 hours for talks with Turkish Super League side Gaziantep FK. Signed under former manager Neil Lennon, Yeti arrived at Celtic Park with high expectations, but ultimately failed to make a significant impact. Despite Lennon's initial enthusiasm and the effort it took to bring him to the club, Yeti never looked the part of a Celtic striker. His performances were lacklustre, and he struggled to find consistent run of form. Yeti was part of the Celtic squad that faced numerous challenges during the pandemic, a period that saw the club's performances drop off a cliff. His inability to step up during crucial moments further solidified the notion that he was not the right fit for the club. This summer, Yeti was told by Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers that he wouldn't be needed, a prediction that seemed to have been vindicated. With Yeti's hopeful imminent departure, Celtic looked set to finally get the striker off their wage bill, providing some space in the budget. The move to Gaziantep FK is expected to be finalised should talks go as planned, allowing Celtic to focus on strengthening other areas of the squad. As Yeti prepares for his new chapter in Turkey, Celtic supporters will be hoping that the club can make moves in the transfer window before Friday's deadline, as Yeti's exit could cause a domino effect. Neil Lennon has been critical of Haksabanovic for his recent cryptic Instagram post regarding his lack of game time at Celtic. The 24-year-old is seemingly unhappy at not starting a game this season for Celtic, even though it's only August, with Lennon stating that it's not a good look for the player, as he told PLZ Soccer. Brendan Rodgers had enough to deal with out of the League Cup, dropped points at the weekend, and a frustrated fanbase expecting movement in the transfer market before it slammed shut on Friday. But Haksabanovic clearly had other ideas, and less than 24 hours after the draw to St Johnstone, he proceeded to take to Instagram to tell his followers, if they don't see your value, maybe you're not at the right place. Aside from Kyogo, given the toothless nature of the forward line and that lack of spark of late, it wouldn't be a surprise if some side with the player and think he is being hard done by, even though the timing of his message isn't great. For Lennon, he thinks that Rodgers will deal with this situation, and whilst he was critical of the winger, he admitted that he understands his frustration. That's not good, said Lennon. That's not good from the player. This is what you have to deal with. I'm sure Brennan will deal with it in his own way. It's not a good look from the player, nothing to do with the manager or the staff. I get that he is frustrated about not playing, but we are only 3 or 4 games into the season. It will be interesting to see what action is taken here, because it can go many ways. Either Rodgers tells him to head for the exit door and find a new club, or puts him on the naughty step for the time being, or dare it be said, just throw him straight into the 11. Listen, nearly every player who warms the bench is frustrated, but perhaps Haksabanovic should have been wise not to send out such a message when the team had just dropped points ahead of the Glasgow derby. Former Celtic winger Jota has been in the headlines ever since his departure from the club this summer. The Portuguese attacker was a huge player for Celtic over the past 2 seasons, and he departed the club for Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad in a £25 million deal early in July. Jota's departure was met with sadness by many Hoops supporters, although the financial reality was that the move made sense for all parties. He was off to earn a fortune and play alongside talents like Karim Benzema, N'Golo Kante and Fabinho. We couldn't begrudge him that. However, a fair bit has happened since then, and it now seems like the former Benfica man will be heading for a new club after a matter of weeks. Turkish side Fenerbahce are among clubs interested in Jota, and it seems like a matter of when and not if he'll be moving on. It was then a surprise to hear of him netting a big league goal for Al Ittihad on Monday. Nuno Espirito Santos' side were away to Al Wahda and preserved their 100% winning start to the season with a 3-0 victory. Jota didn't start the match but replaced reigning Ballon d'Or winner Benzema after 42 minutes. He struck his side's second goal running down the left-hand side and squeezing an effort beyond the goalkeeper. It was his first strike for his new club. Without knowing the full story in Jeddah, it doesn't seem like Jota was a complete outcast just counting down the days until his departure. An exit seems the most likely scenario, but perhaps his contribution on Monday night will have convinced his new club that he has something to offer. If they do require further evidence of that, they could watch virtually any of the Celtic displays over the past 2 seasons. It is fair to say that Hatate has been one of Celtic's foremost signings over the past few years. What the Japanese midfielder provides on the pitch compared to the price he was signed for makes him one of the club's most shrewdest incomings of recent times. Along with Hatate, Celtic signed Maeda and Ideguchi from the J-League. Former Hoops manager Ange Postecoglou has recently said he was extremely eager to add another asset from the land of the rising sun though. Postecoglou revealed that he watched Brighton winger Matoma when he initially came through at Kawasaka Frontale. The Aussies stated that he was heavily impressed by the attacker and they attempted to bring him to Celtic, but the Seagulls were too quick for him. Going by his league form in the Premier League, Matoma would have been a big hit in Glasgow. Hindsight is a wonderful thing though, and it just wasn't meant to be. Postecoglou said, "I watched Matoma's debut, I was on the opposition bench, he'd come straight from uni and destroyed us. I did try to sign Matoma at Celtic, but Brighton were too sharp for me. I ended up getting Hatate, but I said to the guys at Celtic at the time, Brighton put Matoma on loan to Belgium. I said, watch this guy when he hits the Premier League, he's going to rip it apart, I knew." Once again, the 58-year-old's fine eye for a player has been disclosed in this instance. Matoma would have, in all likelihood, excelled at Parkhead, and the Hoops would have made a vast profit on him. But without him, the club are not in a position that is at all negative. Celtic fans, how many more incomings do we need ahead of the window closing? And how would you sum up Albion and Yeti's time at the club? Let me know down in the comment section below. That brings us to the end of today's video, guys. Make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Remember, we have released our brand new Celtic t-shirts with our Brendan Rodgers Pope t-shirt and our Celtic Ultra t-shirts too. You can find them at celticapparel.com or just go down to the link in the description. Thank you, take care, bye bye.